we all pretty much love the mystique and the thrill of big baits and glide baits. But for a lot of us, the it's a hurdle, like getting going, getting that first bite, getting the confidence, and especially us northern anglers, I think there's a little extra level of intimidation to the big baits. So we're going to bring in a guest that is proficient with the big baits and with just about all the techniques. He's probably one of the I don't know, in the last decade, one of the most decorated tournament anglers locally and regionally here in Minnesota. So we're going to bring in Noah Schultz to talk some big baits, glide baits, and whatever else we want to talk about. What's going on, Noah?
Not much. Just got the kids to bed. Time to relax finally.
Yeah, right on. Well, welcome to HellaBass Live. We're going on a Friday night, presented by Arsenal Fishing, boosted by Powerhouse Lithium. You've been on my list for a while to reach out and have you on a guest, and just felt like a good time. So, what are you enjoying the nice brisk fall weather we're having here in Minnesota, Noah?
I'm not getting out fishing as much as I wanna, which sucks because this is probably the most prolonged summer we've ever had. Tournament season's wrapped up for the most part. There's some tournaments tailing off here and there, but yeah, the summer is just kind of dragging on. And it's been so busy with life and other things kind of come up unexpectedly. Kind of been keeping me busy and off of the water, but I'm just like sneaking out about once a week right now, maybe twice. But they're going to start speeding up again here. We're going to start, things are wrapping up, family wise, and I'm thinking next week or two, things are going to start really getting busy for me on the water again, and getting fishing, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, hopefully.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't know. It's probably not. I guess I hear some guys kind of catching them, and other people are kind of struggling and just kind of watching. But like, I feel like it's probably not going to get good until it cools off a little bit. But we'll see.
Yeah, what I was thinking. The summer, but the summer is kind of like I said, it's fall, but it's still 90 today, like 92 or whatever it was today. So it's still dragging on, and the bite does seem to be overall slow in our region. Still like that late summer, where they're still kind of not really hitting that fall bite feed bag yet, but every once in a while they hit a lake where they're kind of popping off pretty good. But I think for
Sure.
overall, it seems like it is pretty slow for the most part.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can like lock in and just like do the things you always do in the first week of October right now.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, you can. You just might not go that well.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so like you've obviously had a ton of success fishing tournaments, Minnesota, but I don't know, like I guess you won a swim bait tournament earlier this year, but I know like especially this time of year, it seems like when you kind of get out of like doing all your circuits and you kind of like to get the big baits out a little more, and it's something that
Yeah.
I feel like just kind of watching you, talking to you a little bit in the last 5 years ago or so, you've really like ramped up your big bait game and kind of dialed it in. So I don't know what I'm trying to think, where should we start here? What's I mean, like, how did you get into big baits in Minnesota? Maybe let's start there.
Oh yeah. Well, this go back 15 years. I'm trying to think when Tactical Bassin started their YouTube channel. It's probably been 15 years now, wouldn't you say?
Sure. Yeah.
I stumbled
We
across
won't
his
fact check
YouTube.
here.
It was, I can't remember. It was years and years ago. I stumbled across his YouTube, and he was. I remember watching him skip a Huddleston underneath a tree, and I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy! These big baits are crazy." So I started getting on, the Google machine and eBay and tracking some of these baits down out in California. And I think the first big bait I bought was an 8-inch Huddleston, and it's got to be 15 years ago. And then I bought a couple of triple trouts and some mat lures, glide baits and swim baits and stuff like that, and some 316. So this is
Mhm.
going way back. Swim baiting was big on the West Coast, and you were starting to see it trickle over here. So I kind of started dabbling there, and
Which would
that
be
kind
about the
of
same time like the Bassmasters went out to Clear Lake and Amistad, and you got to start to kind of see that
yeah,
stuff on, like it was all kind of coming together there for
yeah,
like
yep, yep,
like I feel like before that you would open up Bassmaster and you just read about it and it wasn't real, but then when we started seeing it on TV, right, then it was like, yeah.
yep. Yeah, so I tracked a few of them baits down, and the first year, I tied some on, tried fishing them, and they're very, very intimidating at first, and I didn't have much success. Had a couple bites. I don't think I really caught much. It's been so long now, and it's hard for me to remember,
Right.
honestly. But then the next year, I bought some more baits, and I actually started buying some glide baits, hard baits, and I think my first, what I considered was a big bait back then, was a river to sea S waves or S waver. I think it was a 200. So
Yep.
to me, that was big. Like, holy cow, this thing's massive. And I started throwing that around. I start catching fish on it. I start building confidence, and then like, it really intrigued me, and I really enjoyed it. And that extra challenge of trying to catch a fish on a bigger bait and kind of chasing that bigger caliber of fish, and basically just kind of snowballed and spiraled from there. And 15 years later, here I am. It's kind of I kind of wrap it into my tournament arsenal at times and stuff like that. Where before it was kind of fun and just kind of dabbling, and now it's kind of like a mainstay in my fishing arsenal, especially in the fall, especially when I get into the late fall. Yeah,
There's
right
no
there.
less waiver.
That one single bait right there kind of kick-started my whole glide bait obsession, I guess you would say, more or less, is what it really turned into. But I
So what
probably did not get as deep into the obsession as some guys get. I mean, I buy baits, then I sell them. I don't keep every single bait I have because they're so expensive. So I turn a lot of them over, get different ones, try different ones. But yeah, it's a fun way to fish for me. It's like you said, once tournament season wraps up, Champions Tour is over, and that's when the big baits come out. That's when everybody start having fun. I try to fish for those 6, 7 pounders here in Minnesota, and I don't know, I just enjoy it.
Yeah. So trying to think back, like early S waivers, what kind of color patterns were best when you were dabbling, getting into Minnesota glide bait fishing?
I Well, I started off 'cause I remember Matt Allen on his first initial YouTube videos was always talking about that trout pattern, and how he felt like they broke up the pattern in the
The
color.
light trout
Yeah,
or the
yeah, so
regular
I
trout?
bought them, and then, like, your straight white, like albino, stuff like that. That's kind of the first colors that 'cause our water, you're kind of in the same area I am. The water's kinda murky. It tends to clear up in the fall, but they're always, unless you get real late fall, it gets real clear. But right back down where I live, we always kind of like a murky water
Mhm.
to us. So the whites and the bones and the brighter colors really pop a lot better than, like, you have a lot of translucent swim baits nowadays that are mass produced. So I went for the whites and like I kind of steered away from the natural colors at first. I wanted something that was like really pop to draw attention, and it worked, and it still works to this day. But that's kind of how I
Mhm.
started.
So you said you like to like get baits and then flip baits. What's your mode for acquiring and like are you buying them retail and then selling them on Facebook groups or what's the strategy? Or do you try to pick them up used or
Well, unfortunately, I'm not very plugged in socially, like, online, so a lot of my stuff is
right?
bought and sold on eBay.
Mhm.
Um, I probably should do like, go through that Swimbait Underground, Facebook and stuff like that. But I'm old school. I'm older, I'm not young, so I just kind of stuck in my ways. So I buy and sell on eBay a lot of times.
I'm pretty sure you're younger than me based on your email. So
Yeah, bro. Uh,
I'm assuming that's your birth year in your
yeah,
email.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's why I don't forget it. So I don't forget my email then. But
I can remember what year my birthday is, but I still have trouble remembering how old I am because like I don't feel like doing the math. But
uh,
so I guess what do you think the keys are for like guys in the upper Midwest getting into swim baits? Like if you know Noah had to start over, but
uh,
he knows what he's doing, but he has to start over, and he's balling on a budget. Like, well, how do you recommend somebody getting into it based on the experience you've had?
well, that's actually kind of hits home because, like, you see a lot of the social media stuff makes you think you got to go out and buy this $1,000 set up to throw swim baits and you don't. Like you gotta have a tranks and you gotta have the special swim bait rod and all this stuff. And I don't. I don't because that's not my primary. Like I'm and at
Mhm.
heart, I'm a tournament angler, you know.
Right.
So that's where the bulk of my better quality stuff is. So my swim bait stuff. I mean, I do have some very expensive swim baits. Don't get me wrong. I'll treat myself here and there, but like as far as like rods and reels go, like for like my mid-sized glide baits and stuff like that, Dobbins Fury, 806, all the way. Like you cannot go wrong with that rod, honest to God. And I've been promoting that rod for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. Someone asked me, what's good budget friendly swim bait rod that you can't probably the best one on the market, hands down, is a Dobbins Fury 806 because it can handle I would say up to an 8-inch glide. That's probably the top end of it. You probably don't want to go any bigger than that, but it can easily handle your 8-inch mag drafts, your KGBs, your Baca burritos, and take your DC. Like you can handle all of your soft swim baits and a good chunk of your hard baits too. If that makes sense. And
Sure.
you're not
How
going
do
to
how
break.
a lot of people say like the Fury 795 is a really good entry level, and that's the one I have. I don't know if you've fished the 795. Like, how do they compare the 806 to the 795? If you've
Uh, I don't have the 795. No, I actually have a handful of the 806s. Honestly,
Sure.
it's
Okay.
because they're so they can handle such a wide range of baits. And I like to have a big rod. I like to have that big handle. I can tuck it under my arm. I like having a long rod. Um, so I'm kind of pigeonholed into that one rod with a few exceptions when I start getting into like the 10, 11-inch glides. Then I have a different rod for that.
Mhm.
But I have 3, maybe I think I might have 4 of the Fury 806s right now. But I'll throw anything from like a 5-inch glide to an 8-inch mag draft, even a 10-inch mag draft on that same rod, and it'll handle, like your 200 S waivers. Trying to look at my Sneaky Pete's. It'll throw a Spro, Brat. Like it'll do a lot of things that you need it to do, and you're not going to spend $500 on a rod that you might not have any confidence in if you're just trying to get into it, you know?
Mhm.
But I don't know. A lot of guys use flipping sticks, which is great, which is fine. It'll work. That's what I started with too, was flipping sticks. But when you start doing a little more of it and you kind of want a dedicated rod to it, if that, cause a lot of things too, what people don't understand is when you're throwing them glide baits and them big paddle tails, like you're making long casts. You want to move a lot of line when you get a bite. You don't, with a 7.6, you can move line, but not as much as you can move the 8-foot rod. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So that's why I like the 8-foot rods, is I can make a longer cast and I can have confidence that I can move that hook and I can penetrate that hook on the end of a long cast.
Do you feel like there's any downside if you're trying to fish around cover, docks, laydowns, or you not do that, or you've adapted to?
No, no, I use the same rod. Like I went out, what's today, Friday? I went out Wednesday evening just for a few hours quick, just to scratch the itch, you know? And
Mhm.
I was flipping docks with a glide bait, sliding alongside the poles, flipping underneath the main platforms, same rod, 806, just and it actually, because it loads nicely, you can control that bait. It can handle the load of the bait, if that makes sense, better
Yep.
than a flipping stick can. So you almost have more control. You can make a more precise flip or pitch, which sounds kind of weird to think of pitching or flipping a glide bait somewhere, but you just get more accuracy. It's a little cumbersome at first, but once you get used to it, you really would you would start to prefer it over the 7.6 or 7.4 once you start to see the benefits of it, if that makes sense at all. This is all just my opinion, obviously,
Yeah,
but
and obviously you're used to it, right? You've got 4 of them. It's what you've always used. You've kind of like
yeah,
you're kind of dialed with it, so it makes sense.
yeah,
So back to the kind of like, yeah, you kind of talked about, Fury rod, which is like less than 150 bucks. What, like typical 200 size reel, good enough, or what do you recommend for
yeah. So I
entry
actually
level stuff?
I got you have a handful of what are these like Gen 1 Revos? What are these? Gen 2 Revo? Might be Gen
Which is
2, I
just a
think.
200 size, right? Basically.
Yeah, but it's nice low profile, fits nice in the hand, and like I said, I know a lot of the guys like that big giant tranks with the big crank handle. I just like the way this sits in my hand. It gives me more control over everything, especially when I'm fishing cover and fishing tight to places. I just feel like I have more control with the bait. And that's just something I prefer. I mean, everybody's different, you know. This is what
Mhm.
I've come to learn and like, and I've got a 3 or 4 of them old school Revos. They sit nice on the rod. They sit nice and flat, and they hold a ton of line. I run 25-pound test fluorocarbon. So
So
that's not,
pretty
not
much
that's
all.
that's budget friendly. Like I said, that's kind of what I've rocked for years. Um, yes, you can go crazy and you can have all this high end stuff, and it's great, and it is. But for me, I'm through and through a tournament guy. So my all my high end stuff is for the tournament side of my fishing, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. So 25-pound fluoro, always straight fluoro.
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
25-pound Cigar and Vizix.
never mess with like any of the some people kind of like the mono, the big games, that kind of stuff. Is that ever something you've dabbled with, or?
No, I haven't, because if anybody fishes glide baits a ton, you already know you have a problem with the bait wanting to rise, and some of these baits they want to rise. Well, if you add mono to that equation, they rise even more. Where the
Mhm.
fluoro, it'll make a ton of difference, but it helps kind of keep it a little subsurface, or especially if you're fishing offshore, and you're trying to sink your bait. The last thing you want is mono trying to pull it back up.
Sure.
And there's just less stretch too, you know, especially like on a long bomb cast. And I don't really see any reason to use mono, in
Mhm.
my opinion. I'm not an expert like some of these guys. There's guys that are way better at glide bait fishing than I am. But I would say I've got a good 10, 12, 15 years under my belt of fishing glide baits, and I don't know how many thousands of fish I've caught on glides, but that's just my experience.
Mhm. How often do you change your fluoro?
You can start to hear it kind of run through the guides, sound a little rough. That's when I'll change it. 'Cause the last thing you want to do is break one of these things off, you know?
Right. That's what I think that's like the to me the only upside to mono is it's maybe just a little more resilient, forgiving.
Yeah.
Um, but so it depends basically like you're probably going to change it every year
Yeah, for
regardless and
sure.
then and it just kind of depends like how much you use that rod
Yeah.
and
And like,
setup and if it starts to get a little noisy then you're like switching it out.
yeah, and the bigger baits will wear on your line a lot faster, like your depths 250 and your Hinkles and stuff like that. Like the big glides will really wear on your line. And you'll notice it after a few days of hard fishing. You can start to hear it through your running through your guides, and okay, I better change before you cast and you break off, or you set the hook on one and you break off. So
Mhm. That's good. Like so I'm sure you've lost a few baits in 15 years.
yeah, I've
Uh,
lost a couple.
how many would you say have been hung versus lost on the cast versus like broken off on a fish, like percentage wise or roughly?
I would say most get hung because I like to fish it real tight to cover. I would say most get hung. Broke a couple off on a cast and a couple off on fish, and none of them I broke off on pike, which is crazy to think.
Yeah,
Which
that's like a
that's what I think.
common.
I think that's a misconception that a lot of people think, like, oh, I can't throw this big expensive bait because there's pike and there's muskies in this lake. I've been doing this for 15 years and I've never lost a glide to a muskie or a pike, and I've caught some gigantic northerns on glides, and I don't know why that is. Maybe they T-bone it or what the deal is, but I've yet to get bit off by a northern, and I've caught, I don't even know, tons and tons and tons of them.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll get
I kind
a
of
question right there. There you go. Yeah. Answers that question. But I also
yeah. I
think
mean,
that
I don't have near the experience, and I've never lost one either, and I don't hear a ton of horror stories. It's something about like you don't catch a lot of you don't. I don't feel like you get a lot of bites from small pike, which is
no.
weird because they seem to hit everything. But they seem to be actually pike seem to have a better like idea of how big is something they can put in their mouth than a bass does to some
Yeah.
degree, if that makes sense. And then It seems like little pike headshot little baits, but they don't do it on the big baits. They try to come up behind it, and then you don't usually have a problem. I don't know.
And the other thing too is, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Complete brain fart there.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about the
Wife's
rod reel
laughing at
setup. What's that?
My wife's laughing at me, so I forgot what I was saying.
I thought she was holding up a teleprompter, like cards for you.
She should, probably would help.
But so you talked about rod reel line setup. So what would you like? What's your top, let's say, 3 baits to get started?
Well, are we talking glides, paddle tails? Are we talking? I mean, that's a
Maybe
hard
like give me
question to answer.
I guess give me like 3 glides and 3 swim baits, I guess.
Uh, okay, so for me, I'm gonna want a cover glide, which I would consider docks, laydowns, any shallow cover. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Target fishing with it. Oh boy,
And yeah, so
I,
what's 1 or
there's
2 of those that you like that are not?
there's one that I really like that I don't want to say, but maybe I will. Just for our region, anyways. I've won a ton of money off of it. Is the Bait Sanity Explorer gill? Actually, I think it might have been on my rod when I flashed it here.
The gill? Okay.
Yeah. For me, this is a cover glide. I don't fish it over structure. I don't make long casts with it. I'm specifically target fishing with it, and that's because the majority of our population of largemouth up here eat bluegill. And yeah, it's a real tight chop, 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 chop. It stays in the zone a lot longer than like a depth 250 would, and with big wide glide moves a lot. This you can chop it real tight, keep it real tight to cover. So I'm gonna say Bait Sanity Explorer gill for cover fishing. Oh man, this is gonna be hard. Um,
Um,
I would say for like all purpose, kind of doing everything, structure fishing, long casts. Need to throw out a dock quick in a pinch. I stumbled on a new one this year. I really like a lot, and it's not your mainstream one, but I'm going to say the Galapagos Grace 210. It's a JDM one, and it's not your typical single joint glide. It's got actually 2 joints, but you can put pads in it, and you can make it do different things. That one's been really fun this year for me. I caught a ton of fish on it. It's real versatile. Maybe that's why I'm saying it because it's just been so fun for me lately. But that one, or maybe like I don't even know. There's so many of them now. Like 10 years ago, there was only a handful. Um, I would say maybe like the trick shad, maybe the book of trick shad,
sure.
and then big baits. Everyone's got an idea of what a big bait is. In my mind, a big bait is like your 10.
So there's the trick
Right.
shad.
Yeah, that's a good all-around bait, right? It's good size. It can kind of do a lot of things. Big bait, it's going to be between a depth 250 and probably a Henkel shad for a big structure, big glides, drawing fish up off a cover structure kind of a deal. I would say depth 250, probably gonna lean towards that one just because they're more accessible and affordable. Henkel shad is really good too, but ridiculously priced. That's just kind of where I'm at there. There's tons of other ones out there. Don't crucify me because there's so many glad baits in the market now. It's absolutely insane. You can't keep up. There's so many options to choose from now.
Sure. Is there any like, I mean, I forget, the Galapagos one's not super expensive, right?
No, it's semi affordable. It's still not like an S waiver cheap, but I not really sure what the retail for. I'd say around the 210 is like 80 to 90. And I have a 280 also. That's 11-inch bait, 11 and a half, maybe 11-inch. I want to say that's in the hundreds, 125, 130-ish range, I think.
Has there any of the ones that like, let's say like the mass-produced baits, let's call them, that you think are a good one for somebody to try?
Yeah. So there's a handful of them now, actually. A few years ago, there was only a couple of them, but now affordable. If you really want to start gliding on a budget, but you want to try glide, like S wavers are good. Don't get me
Yep,
wrong. They kind of started. They were kind of the first. They're the OG of the mass-produced ones that I know of. Sneaky Pete. That's one that doesn't get talked about a lot. I've been fishing it for a
right.
long time. It is super cheap. Like it's about as cheap as you can buy glide. I think they're sub $20. At least they were a couple years ago. I'm not sure. Someone might want to fact check me on that, but Sneaky Pete, super cheap. You got the Arashi. That's a good all around affordable bait. You got the Trick Shad. I think that's $40, right?
Like the resin one from, yeah, the Buka brand.
That's $40. The Spro, obviously, you can't go wrong with that one either. Um,
Okay.
yeah, there's quite a few of them out there now. You can dip your toes in and not break the bank with. Mullets makes a really good one too. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I've fished many of them over the years. Um, but the problem with the mass-produced ones is if you make a mistake and you make a bad cast and you bang it off the dock post or you hit a rock, well, then more than likely that bait's going to be done. It's going to take a crack, and as soon as they take on water, then they're done. There's no,
So,
there's
so you're saying the EBS is less forgiving than the resin baits?
yes, yes, exactly. So it's bittersweet. Like I got, let me pull this one out here. This is a resin bait here. This is obviously everyone knows what this is. This is a Henkel. This one is trying to get my camera angle right here. This one is out of commission right now. I gotta get tail repaired on it, but this thing has been through the ringer. I mean, it's seeing tons and tons and tons of fish. I've had this thing for I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and I bounced it off so many docks and so many rocks and so many, so many everything. And it still swims the day like I bought it, and it still goes and goes and goes and goes. Now, if that would have been an ABS, like injection bait by like a mass produced company, I probably would have went through 20 of these, 25, 30 of them. And so there's a give and take there. If you're in it for the long haul, resin's probably the way to go, as long as you get a good one, because there are some that aren't good, some are good.
Some are
But
all sizzle, no steak, all hype, no substance.
yeah, I bought I bought some bad ones, they had real good names. I'm not gonna name them obviously, but oh, these are great baits. They got a lot of hype around them, all that stuff, and you get them, and they don't glide, they don't swim straight, or they want to nose up and nose up and nose up, and you can't keep them down no matter how you weight them. And they're garage made baits, and they're resin, and you got to turn around and sell them because they don't swim. But if that
Mhm.
was a mass produced bait, every single one's gonna swim the same, every single one. So that's why if you're gonna get into it, start with maybe mass produced baits, dabble, see if you like it, and maybe move to resins after that if you want.
See here. Oh, I should remember. Rich G, thanks for rejoining. Shout out Rich G. Uh, Chase Vanover says, "What are you fishing with the 250 versus your cover glides?
As far as
Like, where do you like
like,
to throw the 250? Obviously, you talked about where you like to throw your cover
oh,
glides.
yeah,
How do
yeah.
you like to use your bigger depths 250s and things like that?
Um, like over structure, like over rock veins or over top of a brush pile or patch of grass, coontail. But I will fish it around cover too. It's more challenging because the bait is so heavy. You gotta have the right equipment to do that. You gotta have the right rod, and it definitely takes some time getting used to try to line it up and lay it on the side, along parallel with the side of a dock, and then swim it, by that dock, or get it up inside that boat lift or along that lay down. More difficult to do that. That takes more practice. You gotta have the right rod to do it, obviously. But I'd say primarily structure. You're fishing over top of structure. You're pulling fish up to it. It's just the 250s, the bigger baits have such more drawing power than the smaller glides do. Like
Mhm.
to me, like this Spro Chad, to me, this is a bite getter. You're looking for bites when you're doing this, numbers. And if you're looking for like real big quality fish, you're throwing your handfuls or trying to get them out of here. Baits like this, your 250 or your Galapagos 280.
Sure.
I gotta get my camera angles right here. Everything's backwards here. Forgive me, guys. Well, these have tons and tons of drawing power. You're not looking for numbers of fish when you're. This is a throwback retro. This is a big
Mhm.
bait. You're not looking for tons of bites, obviously, when you're throwing that kind of a bait. So yeah, a lot of guys. To me, this was a big bait when I first started. And it was huge. I'm like, oh my god, how can I fish this thing? The fish isn't going to eat this, Now it's almost like it's a challenge. I just keep going bigger and bigger and bigger just to see how big of a bait they'll eat, more or less. Like this is over 11 inches here. Depth 250 is 10 inches. So bigger the bait, the more like your fishing structure, if that makes sense, because you'll pull those fish up.
Yeah. So structure wise, without weighting the bait, like how deep are you typically pulling fish?
Um, Depends on the water clarity, obviously. Um, I would say like Coronas this spring, we had the swim bait only tournament out there, and I think you mentioned that I won it, but I think we actually got
Oh,
fourth.
okay. Sorry. Yeah.
The one prior to that, we won, and that was on Spro BBZ Rat, and that was a pretty cool tournament. That was fun. But this one, we were fishing, I would say primarily 10 to 15 foot of water, and I was fishing the bait a foot under the surface, and I would call them up like I was pulling fish up all day long
It's
on a
basically
glide.
like throwing a spook and they were coming up,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly. But that was on Coronas. The lake was really clear, so those fish could see that bait. They could come up. It almost seemed like if you were to sink it down, and they would rise up to it. If you would sink it down 5, 6, 7, 8 feet, they wouldn't commit. But
Mhm.
it's like the higher you could get those fish to come up, the higher percentage you had in converting those fish into bites because they were almost more committed if they came up higher. So it was
I've
kind
heard
of
people
fun.
say that with minnows. The more I listen about, I mean, obviously we're talking swim baits, but I hear the same thing about minnows. Like the more you can get the fish to move towards your bait, once they start, like then there's almost no turning back. Whereas if you get
Yeah,
it too close to them, you get a lot of lookers that don't
yeah.
eat it.
It's almost like if you can get that fish to rise 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 feet, like they're committed. They're gonna eat it. But if you stick it down to their level, then maybe you get a lot of those fish to show themselves that weren't gonna be committed to start with, or maybe I don't know what their
Mhm.
thought is, but I'm assuming since they're thinking since I've already invested this much energy into chasing this bait, I wanna make sure I get it if I've already rose 15 feet to come look at it kind of a deal.
It's kind of like if your kids are making you mad and they're just kind of around you, you'll kind of just like yell at them. But like if they're and you have to get up, then once you get up, you've gotten up. They're
Yeah,
getting
it's exactly the same way. Yeah.
not that your kids would ever misbehave, but
Oh, yeah, never. They never do that.
um okay. Uh Now I guess how deep will you fish a glide in Minnesota?
Um, like, again, it goes back to water clarity and, what
Right.
part of the region of the state I'm fishing in, but I've fished them out to 20 foot. Like a lot of guys like to hang, sinkers and stuff from trebles. I like to wrap them with lead. That's just my preferred way of doing it, but you just patience. You gotta be really patient, and it typically takes longer to obviously you gotta sink them down. And a lot of times when you do sink them down, they want to rise when you fish them, and so you really gotta really slow down. And once you get that fish engaged, then you can obviously speed it up and work it faster. But yeah, it's not impossible. I mean, 20 foot isn't not uncommon for me, but it all depends on
Mhm.
where I'm fishing. Like around home where I live, 20 foot, like you don't You don't fish in 20 foot. The fish live like 10, 12 foot deep. That's about as deep as they get, you know?
Chase says it. Steady wine in your 250. Do you speed it up when you recognize fish are behind it on the big wide glides?
Yeah, I'm more of a steady reeler. I know like a lot of like YouTube and stuff like that. They teach you to chop, chop, and chop, but like the big glides, like the depths and stuff like that, I really, really, really like this the slow back and forth. And then about 2 or 3 times through the retrieve, I'll just give it a quick rip, boom, boom, pop it and get to kind of do that. And then it's back to the slow, steady. Now with live, live really kind of opened my eyes to how many fish actually follow these glides, how many fish that you're not getting to bite. But this is well over the years, that's what I've done is it's a slow, steady. And if there's fish is in an area, he'll show himself. And now with the live or with your eyes, you can see the fish and then you can do what you need to do to get them to convert. Because what I've noticed over the years, if you just do a slow, steady reel, and you're fishing over structure with like 250, something like that, fish rises up. He's either going to eat it right away, obviously, or he's going to track it and trace it like a smallmouth full with like a hair jig, they'll trace and trace and trace. And if they're tracing it, and if you just keep going steady, they'll never eat it. If they're tracing it, you got to do something to make them bite. Either they're going to bite or they're going to turn. So either you got to get hard and fast with it and hope they eat it, or they just turn off. So like before forward facing sonar, all the anybody that's fished a glide before prior to forward facing sonar knows that you see so many fish at the boat because they would trace it and trace it and trace it and trace it, and all of a sudden they're at the boat, and then you try to get them to convert because you see them quick, But now forward facing sonar, you can see that fish out there. You can see them tracing, you can see them follow it, and then you can try to do what you need to do before they get too close the boat to get them to convert. But basically, yeah, you'll have 2 types of fish that will either just come up and just T-bone it right off the bat, or you'll have fish that'll just follow and they'll just trace it. And then either you convert them or you don't. Most of them you don't convert. And that's just the reality of it.
I haven't had much luck with the figure eight at the boat with bass.
Not not many of them, no.
Do you feel like live has like made you a better swim bait fisherman, or just made you more frustrated, or like I mean,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on like does it make you want to fish them more, fish them less, make you pull your hair out more? Do you catch more fish with it because you can engage them earlier? What do you think?
it's made me a more frustrated swim baits fisherman, that's for sure. It made you really realize how many fish that you're moving and you have no idea. You had no idea prior to forward facing sonar. Like you would just think, I'd go fishing for 12, 13 hours, throw the glide all day, I'd catch 6, 7, 8 fish, and you wouldn't think nothing of it. Oh, just it's not gonna catch many fish on it. But then now forward facing sonar, you start to see, oh my god, I rose like 60, 70 fish today. Like, and I only converted 3, 4 of them. Like it's crazy. Like that Coronas tournament, this spring, so bait only tournament, fishing that glide bait. I'm not exaggerating at all. I know I rose like 200 fish that day. Like it was every other cast I was raising fish. It was crazy. And it was a really good day for converting fish. I probably caught 50 fish that day on a glide, but I know I seen at least 200 of them that I rose, at least, if not more. Like it was insane. And that's what forward facing sonar is. And it helps you make your adjustments so you can convert more bites throughout the course of a day. Because it's like once you figure out like what they want that day, it kind of goes across the board. Like kind of like sorry, I thought my wife's talking to me. She's on the phone. Kind of like when you're like one day they want you to drop shot, the next day they want a jig, next day they want a crankbait. It's kind of like that deal. Like once you figure out that cadence for that day, and that forward facing sonar really fast tracks that decision making for you, it does help you convert more bites because for that day, based on the weather conditions or whatever mood they're in, that you can convert more bites if you can piece it together faster. But yeah, I'd say overall that definitely makes me more frustrated. It forces me to the bank more so I can visually see those fish, which is probably my favorite way to fish a glide.
Mm-hmm. So I guess like when you show up to a lake And you're kind of like, I'm sure there's some days you're like going swim bait fishing. There's other days you kind of mix it and test it. But it's like when you're going swim bait fishing, uh, how long do you fish a bait before you're making, like, how much are you spending time like changing locations versus changing baits? How do you go about like deciding what to throw, when to, and to stick with something?
Um, I'm pretty stubborn, so I'll usually go a few hours before, because I
So
know a
much
swim
more
bait.
stubborn than traditional fishing,
Yes, you have to be. Swim bait fishing,
right?
it's like an investment. You gotta be invested in it. Like, you can't go out there and expect to have immediate success like you if you were to throw a Ned rig or a drop shot or, you you gotta invest more time into it because you're fishing for a different fish, essentially. You're not fishing for a different fish, but you are. You're fishing for a bigger caliber of fish you generally wouldn't catch. That's the other thing too is you'll catch fish that a lot of times are uncatchable other ways,
Hmm.
but you can catch them on a glide. So you got to be. I'm more invested in it. I'm willing to spend a lot more time. I was fishing a tournament the other day, and never been to lake in my life, so I don't know anything about the lake. All I know is think, oh yeah, it might take 20 pounds. When okay, all right, well that's glide bait quality fish. So I'm like, all right. So I start off right off the bat in the morning, throwing a buzzbait around, nothing. I'm like, well, all right, grab a glide. I start banging docks. It's going. I'm gonna run 30%. It was a small lake. I'm gonna run 30% of the docks in this lake. And that'll give me a good sample. Either I'm gonna raise the quality fish I need to see, or I'm gonna catch them and know if they're shallow or not. And I didn't see anything. I didn't raise any fish. I never caught a fish on a glide. So then I knew, okay, I've just fished 30% of the bank on this lake. Either these fish don't want to glide or they're not on the bank. And generally, if you're fishing a big bait, you will at least see the fish. They will show themselves. So that told me all I needed to know. Okay, I got away from the bank and I went offshore and I started throwing big baits offshore. So it wasn't a glide, but I was switched to a big hair jig. So I don't know. I bested it was an 8-hour tournament, and I spent 2 hours not catching anything, but just trying to sample what was going on with that lake. But then
I
there's
guess
days,
maybe
well,
another way to think about it is like you're going swim bait fishing. How many? I mean, do you like if you're like, let's say you're going swim bait fishing, you're like, I want to fish these 30 docks to kind of start things out. Like, are you fishing the same bait on those 30 docks? Do you have a couple baits rigged up where you might switch every 5, 10 docks? Like, any thoughts on that?
um, typically when I go swimming fishing, I'll do it the entire day just because I
Right.
enjoy
But I'm
it.
saying, like, how many baits do you rig up, and how often are you just like
I'll probably have 4 or 5
rotating the baits
back.
that you have rigged? Like, how often do you rotate the baits you have pre-tied? I guess is
Um,
my question. Like, would you tie up like a big glide and a smaller glide, and then some kind of swimmer, or like,
yeah,
let's say you're going glide bait or like you're going swim bait fishing this weekend. Uh, how would you set up your 4 or 5 rods for this weekend?
yeah, I would have obviously, a cover glide, medium-sized glide, and then a structure glide, this small,
So
medium, big.
big, medium, small glides. Yep.
And then I'll have, something like for fishing offshore rock. This is a DC, um, or a burrito here, fishing offshore rock
Mhm.
or a mag draft. So I'll have a good selection, 5, 6 rods, kind of for every situation that I'm going to occur. And you'll start to, as the day progresses, you'll see like sometimes they want a bluegill glide, sometimes they don't want them, sometimes they want a long slender glide. So as I start to progress through the day, like or the Explorer Gill, you might have some roll on it. Okay, well, I'm gonna try like Sneaky Pete's a little bit more slender, stuff like that, or the Spro, or I'll just start rotating through base. Sometimes I want a bluegill, but sometimes a taller glide will hinder your bites. So you might want to, just keep playing with sizes and shapes, and as the day unfolds, just kind of piece together what you can, and then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like would do with traditional fishing. You're not going to
Except
just
it's going to be a jig and a chatterbait and a frog and a.
Yeah. You're just gonna wait for the fish to kinda tell you, just kinda go off the feedback of the day and just kinda keep
Right.
changing around until you figure out what you think might be the best option for that day and just keep rolling with it.
So here's maybe a question: is a fish not getting bites on a bait force you to change faster, or a fish not like showing themselves not committing make you change faster?
Showing themselves not committing.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like you take that as a stronger, like if you see him roll or swipe, or you're like you feel him bump it but not get it, like that happens twice, you're switching baits probably.
Yeah, I'm starting because it's gonna be a trend the whole day.
Yeah.
Like, and then once you find that bait that they'll eat, then it's like you convert, 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 convert. Where before, like you'll just roll a fish, roll a fish, roll, and it gets frustrating and frustrating. Like, what's going on? What's going on? You just got to kind of keep moving around base. Sometimes you go bigger, where you would think,
Mhm.
oh, they're rolling on it, I got to go smaller, or they're just swiping, I got to go smaller. And then actually, if you go bigger, you'll start converting more of those fish. So sometimes you gotta go up, sometimes you gotta go down. I don't like to go down, I like to go up. I kind of usually start small and work my way up. Unless I'm really going out for like if I'm going to a lake where I know there's some real big fish, then I'll just start with the big one and just fish it all day long looking for one or two real big dumb ones, you know.
Yeah, how much do you ever like colors, like going brighter, more natural, like does that ever play versus the size? Or are you making your color decisions based on the water clarity to start and then you kind of just stay with that?
I'm pretty simple when it comes to colors. I know color is kind of a big thing in the glide bait world, but I feel like from my mind you have two spectrums. You have like these natural brown green hues here, you know, and then you have I like the hits, by the way. It's really easy to track when they have the hits on there. Another one that's got a hit on it. You haven't noticed that, but hits on the head, that's a you probably can't see that. That's a big chartreuse hit there. Um, I'm usually starting on like the browns and the greens, kind of natural tones, and then I'm going right to the bones and the whites, like opposite end of the
Mhm.
spectrum. That's just that's just me. I just keep it super simple. Like I kind of stay away from the cleared body swim baits and like kind of got away from the trout colored swim baits and stuff like that. I'm going like the carp color, you know, just natural green, brown hues. And then I go
So you're
right
either
there.
going like subtle shiner bait fish, or you're going like bone bright shad. That's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yep. That's just me. That's I tried a lot of colors over the years, and those ones constantly produced for me over the years, and that's just what I
Mhm.
keep rolling with. Like my least successful color, which I don't maybe it's just me. I've had a few bad luck days, but crappie. I struggle so bad with the crappie colored glide. I just don't know why. When you would think that they would eat crappie, but
Where's that bait sanity gill again that you had?
actually, I have quite a few of these. This is the one I got tied up right now.
'Cause I feel like that's kind of crappie-ish.
It is kinda, yeah, but it's more of a gill. I don't know. I just
I mean,
struggle
it's
with
kind
the
it
crappie.
kind of looks like a hybrid, but when
Probably
I
just
first,
me.
because when you first flashed it real quick, because you're super secretive and you don't like to overshare things, because you're that's just the way Noah is. Um, this is hard. Just for everybody to know, this is hard for Noah to share. He likes to
Well, I
keep
feel like I
fishing
can
secrets
share
to himself.
I feel like I can share glide baits fishing because
Nobody watches this show. Don't worry about it, Noah. Come on.
there's only I mean, I do win tournaments on glides, don't get me wrong, but they're very few, and they're usually in the fall, and, like, our big money events are in the
Right.
heart of the summer, you know?
Yeah.
So, we're generally not picking up a glide.
Right. Or if it is,
So,
it's for a bite.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Like you've got 22 and you're like, yeah, yeah, I can roll the dice on a glide and try to get 25.
Uh,
Okay. Have you paid with the clash baits at all?
no, I haven't, which is really sad because I want to. I really do. Like I see the potential there, the reaction style potential, you know, and that's kind of like another level to glides that I should get into, but there's just so many other glides. It's like I can't buy them all, you know, but I feel like I should.
Yeah. I've had a couple shows. One I had Austin Neary on, uh, who's like from the Carolina region. And he gushed about the kind of the Clash series and all the different things you could do and how it's like 19 different swim baits in one. And all
Yeah.
these things. But I think the Galapagos has a little bit of that going on, right? There's a few things
Yeah,
you can
they
do with
do.
that.
They do.
Um,
They
and
got
then
they
I
got
want to say
joints
when I had
everywhere.
the who the local the throwback guys, one of those guys that was on that panel with the throwback guys was kind of a big fan of the Clash baits. So
Well, I mean, I have like I said, I haven't used them, but I put them in the car and then I put them back and I put them in the car because there's so many other things I wanna buy too, so it's like, at some point, you can only buy, so many. I mean, I got 25 glides here, and a bunch more in the garage, and I got all sorts of other swim baits, so it's like, you gotta pick and choose, and there's always new things coming out. You wanna try that, you wanna try this. At some point, you just you don't get around to buying something, and so, one of these days, I'm gonna try one for sure.
I
So I
told them
definitely see
nobody
what
watches this. Nobody need to worry about watches this.
Oh, man.
What bait have you bought this year that you're excited to fish this fall?
Oh my
Try.
god. Actually, I got my first retro this spring.
Okay.
And my first day out with it, I caught like a 598 on it. So, and I haven't fished it much since then because we've been so hardcore to the Champions Tour, which obviously isn't
So
going to play a
that
whole
was a
lot.
spring 6 pounder.
Yeah, it was post spawn. It was a big fish, big body fish. I don't know. I
Nice.
mean, maybe weighs 6.5 in the summer. Maybe I'm not quite sure, but it was a big body fish post spawn. But yeah, probably that retro.
What fall water temp do you think is the magic number for swim baits or range? Like when
My
you
opinion.
what yeah, like what do you get excited about fishing swim baits in the fall?
I'm getting excited for the next couple weeks because it's going to start tanking.
Right.
You start getting that low 60s, and then things start really turning on. Low 60s, and I'll fish them all the way till it freezes. And actually, I think they almost when they quit biting other baits, when it gets really, really, really cold, you can always generate a couple bites on a glide or a big, slow, soft-bodied swim bait on the bottom. But yeah, I'm looking really. It's like right now, our water temps was on a Wednesday. They're still 70. Yeah,
Like
like
one of these.
that's what.
See, this is how I keep my swim baits pristine is by not rigging them and taking them out of the package and not fishing them.
Well, how are you gonna catch
It
fish
doesn't
out of
help with
them?
the catch rates, but it keeps them in really good condition.
Yeah, well, this one's really cool because it always stays right side up,
Yeah.
so you never get hung, you know? But
Uh,
no, I'm really looking forward, like, the fall. For me, fall swim bait fishing is really, like in the
so
upper
you're saying
Midwest.
like 39, 42, still swim bait weather for like swim
Boy,
baits. Okay.
yeah, I'm from so basically from, like, mid-60s, once you get to, like, the mid-60s, you know you got colder temp coming, like, just from there all the way till she freezes, man. It's so much fun. It really starts getting really good. All the way from a foot of water to 20 foot of water. Like they just really get on that big bait bite really hard for
Well, I think
me.
the other thing, right, is that like the grass drops a lot, so that just frees up a lot of zones to fish it shallower and stuff too, right? Like,
They're putting on the fall feed bags too, like so they're just
but I mean, like, I rigged up a couple swim baits and I went to a lake, disappointed with how much grass was still around everything, and I was like, like all the docks that I thought I was gonna throw a swim bait around were just covered in grass, and I was like, I guess I'll just catch them on a jig.
so where I live, I would say within I don't know the closest lake that has a good grass, vegetation is probably an hour away from me. So we don't really have
Yeah, I
grass.
was pretty close to your house. There was a lot of trashy grass around the docks.
Right, if
That
you're
would have
I'm
been.
thinking like deep coontail, like where
I know,
you
but I'm
live,
saying like there's like shallow nuisance grass that would prevent you
Yeah,
from really effectively fishing a glide shallow in some of these lakes.
yeah, that's what our lake's are known for. It was really sloppy and
Right,
gross and bunch of
right.
trash grass everywhere from like 4 foot to the bank.
It didn't keep him from eating a frog, which was nice. But
But yeah, so and you gotta kind of fish around that stuff and finagle around it. But I mean, it's fine. Like I said, a lot of stuff drops and gets out of your way when it gets really cold. But yeah, I really Oh, I see a comment here, guy. Well, catch a smallmouth on glides. Yeah, I catch a lot of
Yeah,
smallmouth on glides too.
not so much around your house, but
No, we don't have any smallmouth where I live. I've got to move
yeah,
north.
but there are a few. Do you ever catch them in the chain on
Tatanka?
swim baits? You got the whole. I mean, there's a few.
Um,
Tatanka Cannon's got like 7 smallmouth in it. Like
I catch giant walleyes on a glide, lots of them, but not where I live, smallmouth. No, but I've caught some big ones on Mille Lacs, Coronas. I caught quite a few big ones in practice. Like, yeah, smallmouth really like the glides, really, and a big paddle tail. So I've caught quite a few smallmouth on 8-inch mag drafts before, believe it or not. Not and rigged weedless,
ah,
like not with your
not
traditional
not
treble
the
hook.
freestyle. Yeah,
Yeah, like
or
pulling
the
the harness out, rigging it weedless, and you still catch them on that thing. Like, oh yeah, they'll eat it. They're not scared. They're so aggressive. And it's a cool way to find where smallmouth live too. They're so curious that they will show themselves almost every time, just follow and glide because they're so curious.
yeah. I feel like tournaments are always my biggest hindrance. Like between tournaments and wanting to create content is what keeps me from being a better swim bait fisherman.
It's like I said, it's an investment. Like
Mhm.
it's
I don't
just
like
something.
spending the time of not catching them to get to the point where I'm catching them
Yeah, I
and
guess
clearly have an obstacle.
it's not for everybody. Like I just it's something that like I'd rather for me in the fall, I just find it more enjoyable to go out and catch 5 to 10 fish on a glide all day long. Fishing 14 hours versus catching
I mean, the
30.
hard part's already over. I just got to catch them.
It's
Or
all
the expensive part's already over. I've already bought the baits.
it's all what you prefer. It's
Yeah.
some guys love catching them on spinning poles. Some guys love like I'm sure you would if you go up to a lake and you see a giant mat of grass, would you prefer to catch them on a frog or would you prefer to punch the mat? Like I would prefer to punch the mat every time, hands down, and catch them that way.
I mean,
That's
I
just
definitely
me.
would prefer to catch them on a frog, but I don't mind punching like that.
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean, I'll take both of those over throwing a Ned rig.
yeah. So I just all it's a preference thing, and then if you really enjoy it, you're gonna invest more time into it, and so
It's hard for me to put down the jig in the fall too, though.
yeah, me too.
Like 80% of the 6 pounders I've ever caught in my life have happened after October 1st on a jig.
I can try. I think I've caught 1 7 on a drop shot, but all my other big 6s and 7s have all come on glides, a big hair jig, or a mop jig.
All right. Michael Bradley says, does Noah dabble with the big wake baits or the crawlers at all?
Yeah, I got.
I think he's gonna have a hernia. He's gonna pull something.
I'm getting old. I got a handful of rats. These are you're getting easier to find, but they're hard to find for a while. The Sproul BBZ rats. These things are loud, obnoxious. They're fun to fish. That swim bait only tournament I won was on this rat right here.
What time of year was that?
Oh, fall. It was fall. It was still warm-ish. Wasn't too cold yet. I'd say it was late September. It was a throwback tournament on
That
East
was
West
last
Rush.
year.
No, last year I
March.
couldn't fish because we were on Mille Lacs for the
Oh,
Champions Tour.
was there a September swim bait tournament this year?
It was on Mille Lacs in the middle of summer, I think. No, I was on Mille Lacs. Sorry, they were on. I can't remember. Yeah, I fished the throwback. They got that wake. What's it called again? I can't remember. Top of my head. Throwback makes a wake one too. Had a few of them over the years. Those are really good ones too. Yeah, those wake baits are fun, especially the loud, clunky, knocky ones. Like they're really clack clack
And
clack.
what when do you like to throw? Let's call it the rat style, the clunky ones.
I like to throw them a lot in the spring and then again going into the fall before it gets too cold. You know, our post spawn too. Yeah,
I
there's
think
so
that's
many good.
the
There's so
Buka
many
I think
rats
is what
out
that
there
one
now.
is. It's got a weird paint job on it, but
There's lots of good rats out there now. I got a lot of old school stuff here, you know, 'cause that's kind of where I started. You know, was back in like the mat lures and the 316 and the Huddleston days. You know, so we got a lot of these older. This was kind of back in that generation too.
did you
And I got my hand goal back before it was cool, so I had to give an arm and a leg up for it.
ever have one of these?
I did not. No.
I've actually caught a few fish on this thing. You know what it is?
Mm-mm.
It's the old True Tungsten 7-inch gill swim bait.
Oh, True Tungsten made swim baits?
They did. They were actually the first ones to have the pin where you could put the tungsten balls in and change the weight in their bait. And this was like 2005.
That's 20 years ago. When did YouTube
This is
start?
not this is what the I mean, this is the smaller one, but there's Ish Monroe and what's that guy's name? Matt. Forget what Matt Newman. Yeah, so our swim baits have balls right on the back of the package there. But actually, the place where I actually had my most success swim bait fishing and kind of got addicted early on was up at the discharge in Pokegama in the wintertime,
Oh, really?
which doesn't really exist. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't. Um, but like you could go up there in the wintertime, like in December, January, February. We would like get up at like 4 a.m, drive 3 hours, go up there. We'd be fishing from shore and waiting at the hot pond. Then we would catch giant bass and pike on swim baits. But we'd catch them on Huddlestons and a few other baits and hard baits like this. It was kind of fun.
That'd be fun.
Are you excited to do any pre-spawn swim bait fishing potentially next year?
Very excited. Yes, has it actually passed?
Well, we talked a little bit about this last week. It is
'Cause I
passed, but it's questioning whether it's going to go through the expedited rule process or not.
Okay, that's what it
And
is. They gotta get enough good feedback to push it through the expedited process, right?
that was what the North Star Customs bait guy said. The way I read it, and I'm not claiming to be an expert, I read through it. I actually sent an email today because I figured it wouldn't hurt after I read through it. What I read is that like if they get 50 people or more that say they want to have a hearing, then they have to have a hearing. I don't know if us reaching out with good feedback changes that or not. It can't hurt, but
Yeah, that's what I think that's what I read too in the Outdoor News magazine is that if they get a handful of people to disagree with it, then they will not push it through fast or something like that, right?
it definitely doesn't hurt to reach out and say that you're excited for it and you can't wait to not spend your money in Wisconsin and Iowa.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've always don't understand is like we're taking all of our money and putting it in other states. But no,
So
that'll be fun.
yeah, they don't have to go crappie fishing in the spring or go to Bogie or some secret lakes in
Yeah,
Iowa.
there's some better lakes than Bogie in Iowa.
All right, let's get some more questions ready for Noah on swim baits. We're gonna take a 1-minute break. We come back, we'll answer any questions that I didn't get to that you might have for Noah on swim baits. But then I think we might talk a little bit more about tournaments and maybe classic bass. You fished a couple of those, didn't you?
I fished a few, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back in a minute and talk about that.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. We have a wide variety of home loan programs in our tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. You can ask HellaBass, He trusted us to help finance his home. Contact the Dream Team today by searching Supreme Lending Dream Team or click the link below in the description or scan the QR code on your screen.
All right, we're back. Shout out to the Dream Team and Aaron Dagas for supporting the stream. If you have any interest in looking at, as rates fall, refinancing, looking at getting a new place to store your boats or your toys and things like that, then definitely give them a shot. They are fishing people just like us. Good reminder from Brian to hit the like button. Doesn't cost you anything. To be fair, this swim bait in the package it's a tiny little swim bait. I've got several of these out of the package. That's one that I've kept in the package for a collectible item. But all right, welcome Noah back. He's back. All right. Clay says, hooks. What are Noah's favorite hooks to put on his big baits? You're upsizing or downsizing hooks, or same as they come from the factory?
I am pretty religious about just running the owner ST41. I mean, and then fitting the hook to the size of the bait. I know a lot of guys there was a lot of guys like quads and like some guys like triple grips and stuff like that. But I mean, for me, owner ST41, it's like a 98% land ratio for me. Like I hardly ever lose. If I hook up, hardly ever lose fish on them. Hardly ever. That's just me. I don't like the triple grip style or the EWG style where they bent in because you're fishing a big bait. You get a lot of swipes. So the last thing you want is that hook, too far in. So you want the kind of a more of a round bend. But that's just me. I know like a lot of guys like quads. I'm not a big fan of quads. I don't have a very good hookup with them. So that's just kind of what I've found over the years. I've tried a lot of hooks, and that's just kind of where I've settled on. And that's what I've converted all my baits. That's what I run on them.
And to me, hooks are they're not just swim baits, but in general, there's a lot to it, right? It comes down to your rod and reel setup and your mechanics and a lot of different things. So there is no necessarily, I mean, obviously it works for you. It's a good, if you don't have a hook that you like, great place to start. But also if you've got a hook that works for you, no need to switch them out. So
yeah. I just mean like that. It goes for everything we're talking about tonight. This is my words, not law. That's just my experiences and what I've fished. And there's probably tons of glides out there that are better than the ones I've mentioned tonight. And you just got to play with what you want to play with and what hooks and rods and line are good for you. And everyone's got a different hook set and preferences. And so I like to run big line, heavy line. I got a big hook set, so I like bigger, stouter hooks. And I don't play my fish. I reel them in and boat flip them, and that's just how I.
And are they ever too big to boat flip on a swim bait in Minnesota?
Not typically, no. If they are, it's a good thing.
I mean, is there any time that you don't boat flip them? Based on how you see them hooked, or
no, I usually boat flip them all because if you the longer you give them, the more chance they have to throw the bait. So as long as I got a hook on their mouth or their face, I'm gonna flip them.
Or unless you have for some reason thought that you compromised your line.
Yes.
During the fight, right? Like if you saw he just wrapped me around a tree or a boulder or a dock post, maybe I shouldn't boat flip. It's not so much about losing the fish, but you're like, I really don't want to lose this $130 bait, so maybe I'll just go down.
That would be the only time I would ever consider not doing it, unless I'm fishing tournament and I have a partner and he's got a net.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you can net it, then you're basically boat flipping it into the net. You're just going to try to just, yeah. He's basically there just to catch it in case he falls off at that point. On that Explorer gill, do you like the floating or the sinking version?
I like the sinking version, but that's best because I'm usually fishing tight to cover, so I want it to start sinking right away, so I can do what I need to do with it, And that is my favorite way to fish a glide is around cover because it's so visual. Like if you want to get into glide bait fishing, start just by fishing docks and trees and things you can see with your eyes. because it's just so much fun to see that fish come up and eat that bait. You only got 15, 20 foot of line out.
Um, I guess so. When you're fishing, like you're saying, hey, you're new. We got a lot of docks in Minnesota. We got a fair amount of overhanging trees and laydowns, especially in our area. You get yourself a cover glide, a cover gill, something like that. How are you retrieving it? Like how quickly? Like where do you start?
So let's say I'm gonna fish docks. Okay, I got my cover glide, whatever it may be, whatever you prefer. Typically they're smaller, so they're more manageable.
So it could be a KGB. I mean, it could be the Spro Chad. It could be the bait sanity gill.
Yep. I would say I'm not going to fish it. I'm gonna hit very high percentage areas, target areas. I'm not going to pick a dock apart. I'm just going to flip into the high percentage area, flip in there, glide, chop, 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 chop. I'm going to get to the outside of the dock, the edge of the dock, and if I don't see a fish or see anything, reeling in, flipping it in, same thing. And don't be scared to flip that bait underneath the dock like you would flip a jig. Take some practice, but you can get those glides way back underneath that dock, and you can work that glide, and you're gonna get hung here and there, but you just take your time and you go get it out. You might bang it against the post, but like these Explorer gills are pretty durable. I would suggest putting a little dab of super glue in that tail, just locking it in there. So I've lost quite a few tails over the years. You bang a post, tail flies off, but they come with spares. They're pretty good about not breaking. Some glides you hit a post and you get one post in and you're done. But yeah, don't be scared to flip it underneath the dock or right against that log. Put it where you think you shouldn't put it, and then you get to the edge of that cover. And if you haven't seen any sign of life yet, maybe work it out another foot and then pull it in, fire into the next high percentage place, just like you would fish a jig on a dock or fish a jig in a
How
laydown.
close are you getting to the docks when you're fishing with swim baits?
Probably closer than I would if I was flipping a jig. I'm getting really tight so I can make a nice accurate cast. I'm trying to be quiet. If I'm fishing windy docks, I'm staying back. But yeah, I'm getting pretty close. It's pretty tight quarters.
That is actually called their bass pattern. The one that I said looked like a crappie.
The thing is too is like you can't skip. You can. There are some like a depths. I've seen videos of guys skipping depths, which I've tried, but not very good at. But you can do it. So you can't really skip a glide, but you can flip it. You can flip it underneath there. You have to get tighter than if you were to skip a jig. So you have to get a little tighter. But as long as you're quiet, you have really, really, really good success.
I mean, you think fish become less boat shy, boat aware when there's a 6-8 inch bait in there next to them?
Yeah, they become focused on that. They'll focus on that glide, but once they come out from the cover, then a lot of times it seems like they recognize the boat. If they haven't committed by then, usually if they don't commit within 12 inches of that glide coming out away from the cover, they're not going to commit anyway. So
fair enough. Some guy named Chad wants to know your favorite structure to throw big baits on.
I would say brush piles, honestly.
And how do the brush piles get out there in our lakes, Noah?
I think it's crappie fishermen, honestly. That's what I think.
So you're saying the crappie fishermen are lawless in Minnesota?
Okay, ice fishermen, how's that?
Ice fishermen? They happen to accidentally drop their Christmas trees down their holes with cinder blocks.
I know there's some bass guys that sink them too, obviously, but whatever. Sink them.
You just find them with your hummingbirds. You don't actually plant them yourself. You just find other people's.
Nope, I'm honestly never planted one brush pile in my life. But there's tons of them out there, so you don't have to. Like they're all over the place. We have such a big culture of crappie and bluegill fishing in Minnesota that these guys, they sink Christmas trees and whatever else through the ice and in the spring, and there's plenty of stuff out there to fish. You don't have to sink anything. almost a lot of these lakes are it's almost overwhelming how much stuff there actually is in the lake. So
So Clay says, "What's a long cast when you're fishing docks? Like you're within 20 feet of boat length?"
boat length, yeah, yep. Because like I said, you can't roll cast and skip it. So it's just a flip. So you got to just a good flip.
Yeah.
And that's just me. That's just what I do. And like if I like to flip. I know a lot of guys will like cast along the edge of the dock and glide along the edge of the
But
dock.
you're pitching your bait most of the time, not pole casting it.
Yeah, I like to pitch it in there. I like to get really tight and pitch and hit every little, shade pocket and set of wheels and skidoo lift or whatever it may be. That's just my preference. I really enjoy fishing and glide that way. It's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't tried it, like it's probably the funnest way to fish and glide in my mind.
I will say my best day of swimbait fishing was on this guy fishing around docks.
Yeah, it's
in
just
October.
Fun. Yeah,
and then not this one, but one I broke the tail off it later that day after I hit it off a dock and broke the tail. This one actually just got. This was like a in the tackle box casualty on that tail, but yeah, I don't see any more swim bait questions. Rumor has it the Champions Tour schedule's coming out on Monday.
On Monday?
On Monday.
Sweet. I'm curious to see.
Rumor has it Dane Vilselka might be a guest next week. We might be breaking down the schedule on HellaBass Live.
Good. I know you can't say anything, but I bet.
I don't know anything other than it's coming out next week. That's all I know.
I bet we go out of state this year. I bet we have.
I've heard rumors from other people about going out of state. So
I hope so. I mean, I guess it don't matter to me either way. I'm not going to complain because he's running the circuit that I fish, and I can't complain because without him doing it, I wouldn't be fishing any tournaments. So it'd be cool to go out of state. But
fishing tournaments more than he likes running tournaments, so he's not going to complain.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I guess you had a pretty. I mean, obviously you failed last year because you didn't win a boat, and any year you don't win a boat in the Champs Tour is a complete failure. But other than that, like it was an okay season for you last year. I mean, you were made the championship, cash check in the championship. I think would you cash in all but Vermilion? Does that sound right?
Yeah, Vermilion at bomb, and then I had a fourth
bomb. You caught like 95 pounds. You just you were middle of the pack.
Yeah. And after Vermilion, they got a fourth, fifth, and a sixth after that. So it was a pretty good year. Just one little hiccup that really kind of threw the whole year off.
Armchair quarterback. Is there anything you would have done different at Vermilion? What do you think was your the other 70 pounds you needed to catch a check? Where was that going to come from?
I overthought it. I just after watching the video, my wife's in the background telling me I'm too stubborn. I just overthought it. I thought I could outfish those guys bed fishing and doing something different. And then the bed fish I was fishing for, you just throw an egg on the bed. Why overthink it? Why get complicated? I'm not good at bed fishing, and that's something I gotta get better at. And I thought I didn't have to this year. I thought I could just do something different, keep myself in it, and I don't know. Pretty bitter about that.
I can see. I mean, that was my thought going into the tournament. Was that I know they're going to be on beds, but that's not going to be the most efficient way to catch them.
That's what I thought.
But then, as the practice went on, I convinced myself otherwise.
Yeah. What? My problem
was. See how you.
You
traditionally.
You could go out on the bank and just throw a hair anywhere and just catch them just steady. Boom, 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 But the quality wasn't there, and that was the problem. You had to catch the quality fish. So, and I just, like I said, I'm not a good bed fisherman. It's something I got to work on, and it was right there in front of me, and I just didn't. Yeah, I'm too old and stubborn, I guess.
And it was hard to. Every minute lost was literally. There was no making it up. There was no lulls for the people that were catching. which is not normal for most classic bass tournaments. There's usually runs and lull. It's like more like an NFL or an NBA game where there's like runs and swings. Like you get a chance. Like you can't have like huge lulls, but like you can make adjustments and make runs, and you've done that plenty of times in the past. But in that tournament, like there was no off the gas for the people that were in the top 5 to 10. That just
it was bad. It was
like
bad.
I think I fished about 7 hours of like really good efficient fishing. But that 1 hour, but it wasn't 1 hour, but it was like 15 minutes here and 10 minutes here. And like I'm almost certain that I saw you in the morning. Do you remember when you were on those 3 boulders, or not 3, but there was like maybe like 6 or 8, 10 bass on some big. There were nice bass on boulders on like the edge of the island on the north side of.
Yep.
You remember when I kind of swung towards you and you were like, there were some good ones there.
There was. I caught a handful of them there, but I just.
And they weren't super easy to see. They're a little deeper, a little harder to catch, but they were good ones. Straight south of there was a pocket.
Yep.
Had you fished that?
No.
Okay. Somebody must have been in there though, because like those fish got super. Because I was catching them like one cast, like all morning, and then I got in that pocket and they weren't biting, and I like spent 10-15 minutes fishing for like 5 or 6 fish that I didn't catch. And in that tournament, that's just like that was 20 pounds for somebody else that I wasn't catching, like.
Yeah, that was my downfall was the morning when I was chasing a hair jig bite, and the fish kind of got smaller on me than they were in practice, and ended up being like all like 1-1, 1-2, 1-3 when everyone's catching 2.5 to 3s, and I'm catching 1 pounders. So like there's just no way I could keep pace, and I spent my morning doing that, and that really set me back. The second half, I was catching quality, and then I was fishing around Kyle Shooter and around there, and just watching those guys. It's like, especially Shooter, like he was just boom, 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 and I'm like struggling to catch these same fish. I'm like, how is he doing this? Like it just felt so stupid. Like I just felt like clueless, and just watching these guys and Rod Merritt coming, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, okay, I gotta step up my game when it comes to bed fishing, because I am like. I'm down here and they're like way up here, and it's something I just got to work on.
Yeah, I felt like I did pretty good, except for like a few things. But honestly, you being on those boulders probably helped me, because there was a little cluster there of good ones, but that probably wouldn't have been the most efficient for me. Like me skipping over that and getting on my next stretch where I had like 60 in a row, that probably helped me that you actually were sitting there.
Yeah. Well, I think I caught 2 of them. And I wasted another 15 minutes trying to catch the other 2 or 3 that were there. And it's like, or maybe more, probably 20 minutes. And it's like,
right.
Like you said, you're just a sinking ship. Like, and if you're just sitting, like, yeah, that was a bad deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I showed up to my spot, I was 20 pounds down already in the morning.
Well, you had a good tournament though, didn't you? You were like 15th, 14th?
16th or something like that. Yeah.
You had a good tournament.
So, but yeah. Do you think there's any other twists coming this year?
I don't.
Besides location, I mean, I think we're going to see some twists in locations. I think based on that's a given. I think we're going to go to some new places. 50-volt field should open some new venues, right?
Yeah, I could see maybe the championship going to like a 2-day event or something. Maybe.
Why? I could. If it would have been a second day on green, I would have went home. But
that was tight. That fish really tight.
Yeah, I just I need to do my recap video and talk about, like, I have a different idea on how to do that. Like, I'm not going to just show my tournament video. I'm actually going to do like an armchair quarterback of like how I screwed that up from the practice and going forward. So, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for next season. I'm hoping
it's only going to get tougher. Like,
it is every year.
Like the 50 now, there's really no. Oh, don't put this wrong. There wasn't much fluff to begin with, and now there's really no fluff in this circuit. I don't think. Like,
it's getting
a lot of very quality anglers, and I mean, I think most of the people, like the bottom 5, they're probably going to be people that just like have life conflicts that are going to be the ones that fall out. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be like people that have like funerals or weddings or graduations or can't get out of work and only get one day of practice, or like that's going to be what the difference of like you requalifying and not requalifying. You know what I mean? Like, or you like blow your engine up one tournament and can't get to, you know what I mean? Something like, I feel like it's going to be that kind of stuff that's going to cost people not requalifying, unfortunately.
Do you know if he's gonna like how many he's gonna cut next year? It's gonna be 5, it's gonna be 10, it's gonna be 15.
Thought it was going to be 5 every year.
Okay. And then he's having a couple. I think he's having a couple qualifiers.
He wants to grow the qualifiers, and I think it that's not a hard concrete plan. My understanding is he's got kind of a, hey, I'd like to get it to 2. I think he wants to, in the next couple of years, he'd like to get it to a 3 qualifier series if the appetite is there. I think is the idea. But he wants the qualifier series to be a sustainable enough, or like if you don't finish in the top 5 of points, let's say you finish 8th or 10th on the points, you probably still had a good season and cash checks, and like that's also like a viable tour to fish.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, I feel like the demand is there, but I mean, that'd be cool. I like the qualifier idea. I like that you have to earn your way onto the tour. Like that's the way it should be.
It's interesting. I also didn't like really agree with, I know it's hard to do this just now, but I feel like at some point that he may want to consider like not just single year. It gets tricky, but like I was coming back as a rookie, like the stuff that I did, whatever, the first couple of years shouldn't matter. But like I thought like it would be really like odd if Noah had a bad year and got bumped out.
It's possible.
You know, and it would have been possible. Like if I think back last year, if I'm not remembering correctly, you were like outside of the championship looking in going into the last regular season event 2 years ago. Does that sound right?
Might have.
I think.
Or
like it wasn't like up to your standard. You were definitely more in the middle of the pack, going in like kind of a bubble TOC guy.
I think I was like 20th or something like that in AOI.
Sure, but like, so it's like just saying, like, as successful as you've been, you've won 3 boats or whatever, 4, I forget, but like been, you know, in the AOI, won multiple boats, made every championship. But there was a year where you were like, right? So it's not like impossible, like to think that like you have a bad tournament, mechanical troubles in another tournament, and all of a sudden you're on the brink of elimination of the tour, right? And it's like, that's crazy.
That was kind of this year for me. So mentally, like we'll go to Vermilion, and I finished like 36, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, we're going into the river, and I'm not a very good river fisherman because I don't fish many rivers. So I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a year. I'm gonna get cut, you know. So thinking I'm gonna go bomb the river, and I'm gonna be sitting like down in the 50s for points. And luckily somehow I pulled a rabbit out of the hat on the river and got 4th. So then I was like, okay, we're going to Lahama, do something more comfortable with, you know. But yeah, like after Vermilion, I was actually like, this is a real possibility that I could very easily get caught, because you go to a place like the river where it's so volatile when you have it rising a foot every single day. Like you could easily bomb, you know, easily. So I was worried. I was worried.
I did not go into the river worried, but still bombed. So,
yeah, you were my pick. I thought for sure you were going to crack them there.
I thought I was going to crack them until I got to my first spot and they weren't there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any plans of scope limitation. Obviously, 2 halves would lend itself to doing a scope half and a non-scope half, but I don't think that's where Dane's head's at, and I don't think that's something he wants to do. But it's a possibility.
I don't think that in our region it's not. There's no negativity around the scope, if that makes sense. Like it's not.
It's not overpowered.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I mean, it played at green more than just about. Well, no, I guess Lahamadu it played big time as well.
Yeah, but it's not.
But I can see that changing. Like we saw something at Lahamadu that I didn't really think was a thing on a lake like Lahamadu, to be honest. Yeah. Did that surprise you at all, or did you think that was a thing
I think it's a matter
high
of time
floaters in the middle of the
before
lake.
I think it's a matter of time before that is what we're doing. 10 years from now, it might be might be what we're all doing, but I don't know. Like, I've tried it a lot on these lakes around home, and it's you can go scope out in the basin or go scope out in a flat in a bay, and, yeah, you catch some fish, you do it, and you catch some fish, but then you go to the first brush pile you find, and you catch 3 or 4 to 5 pounders. It's like, I'm catching 2.5s out here scoping. I can run to this brush pile and catch a handful of 4s, like. But I'm sure it's gonna come to that point. Someone's gonna unlock something and figure something out, and once one person figures it out, then away it goes, but
I
it's
do think
rare.
our grass lakes are what's the right word? Restrictor plate when it comes to scope where we live to some degree.
To some degree, yeah, because it kind of those fish can tuck in and hide, and it doesn't eliminate the scope because you still need the scope. Like, that's one
Or the
thing
scope
that.
still makes you more efficient.
Yes.
You don't
You could.
need the scope, but the scope still makes you more efficient doing it.
Yeah, because you're fishing, if you're looking for the holes or the pockets, or if you're looking for the bigger, thicker clumps, whatever it may be.
Where the more bait fish are,
Yeah,
or
whatever
the
it may be.
activity. Yeah.
Just makes you so much more efficient of a fisherman, but you're not targeting that specific. Like Tommy Parker, one Green Lake, he wasn't fishing an individual fish. He was fishing isolated clumps of grass that had fish inside of it. He might have seen some fish, obviously caught some fish doing it with scope, and it might have even been half of his fish he caught. I don't know, but I would say more of them came from fishing the clump of grass. So he's still fishing structure, but using the scope to fish the structure. I don't think it will be. It's not, at least for the next foreseeable year or two, it's not going to be an issue. It might be in the future, but I know around where I live, scope plays, but not. It's not like the end all be all.
Yeah. It makes you more efficient.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily. It's not the spotlighting, the sharpshooting,
we don't have shad. We don't have shad.
yeah.
We have bluegills and stuff like that, and a lot of bluegills tend to relate to cover too. It's like, so they always seem to be cover oriented. These fish do, but like, yes, I have caught fish out just in the abyss in the middle of nowhere. And I have actually won a tournament recently doing it, but it's not like every day, all day. It's very specific situations, and it's very rare.
Yeah. I do need to pay off we had a little side bet, and we do shout out the Aaron Rodgers led Pittsburgh Steelers for their heroic win in Dublin, Ireland, and the Vikings failure. So kudos to Rich G's Steelers. So there. There is the freeze your butt off, freeze your ass off swimbait tournament in February.
Where's that at?
It's up on Monticello.
You
You
fish
can
up the
only
shore?
fish the bank. I think you can only fish the bank. Yeah.
That'd be a fun one. My wife's rolling her eyes already. I've got back-to-back tournaments next weekend. I got tournament after that, the weekend after that. I got tournaments all the way through November.
Are you fishing Forest in the fall brawl?
Yeah, East-West Rush.
Yeah. And then you said you back-to-back. Are you doing the Forest one, or which one are you?
No, I got
No,
one
down to you.
Fairmont channel west of Fairmont. Never been there before, but there's one that popped up. But yeah, we're doing the fall brawl. Me and Tim Pittman are going to do that one.
Nice. I opted out because I've decided that I need to spend my October down on the river preparing for the national championship.
Yeah.
As much as I do like fishing the fall brawl.
That should be fun. Weather looks like it's going to be pretty good for that tournament too, though. So that'll be nice.
And hopefully, like now it's cooled off. They'll actually, Prior Lake Hooksetters have a tournament there Sunday. I don't know how good that's going to be.
On East-West Rush after the fall brawl?
No, the weekend because the fall brawl's.
Is it this Saturday coming up? Not tomorrow, but the next week.
I thought it was the 11th.
Yeah, it's next week.
Yeah. So there's a 20 boat club tournament on Sunday. Whatever. I'm pretty sure, right?
I don't know.
Fall Brawl's not 2 days from now. It's
next
8
weekend.
days from now. Yes.
Yeah.
So they're going to hit it on the last 85-degree day with 40-mile-an-hour winds
This weekend.
this weekend.
Oh, okay. That's fish a little tough when it's windy.
Yeah. It was a little windy last year.
Oh my gosh, it was windy. Holy cow. That was bad.
Yes. The Prior Lake is the 5th, and the Fall Brawl is the 11th, the following Saturday.
I know I'm signed up for the what do they call it, the last licks or whatever that is on Waconia.
Yeah, the Brad Longerbone and put on.
Sign up for that one. I'll probably donate my money there. I haven't been there, and I think I fished it once in 20 years. But I'm gonna show up and
I'm
fish.
sure it'll be just fine. Noah.
See what happens.
They've been known to eat big hair out there.
I already told my partner I'm gonna throw a mullet, probably a glide, and a mop jig. That's all I'm gonna bring.
Nice. So I think we talked big baits. I don't think a big Northland mullet is considered a big bait.
I think it's a big bait. Like to me, like
Yeah.
a big bait is a mullet, like a big hair jig, or a glide, like a big mop jig. I love fishing big mop jigs, big old trailer on the back of it. I
When
like
do you
fishing
start throwing the mullet?
in the summer, post spawn. They get
Post-spawn,
offshore.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when do you stop throwing the mullet?
When the lakes freeze and you can't fish anymore.
So you're basically just like a swim bait, you're throwing it super late.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah, actually,
more
when
of a snap kind of like reel it pop up, or more of like a slow reel in? How do you like to fish your mullets?
I like to fish them slow, like you're fishing a paddle tail on the bottom, or like
Like a giant kitech, just
yeah.
yeah.
If I'm fishing grass, I just tip tops of the grass. But if I'm fishing, like I love to fish it on rock and just slow crawl it, just tick the rock, tick, 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 tick. That's my favorite way to fish a mullet.
You like the 794 Champ?
Yep. It's actually the A-rig rod.
Is that the 0.5, 794.5, or the? I don't know. They have a half and a. I don't know.
It's 795, 794. It's the A-rig rod.
There's a 94.5 I know, but I've never fished either one of them. What pound line do you like for the fluff, the big fluff?
I go back, and I'd say most of the time 20 pound. Every once in a while I'll go 25. Just kind of most time 20-pound fluorocarbon in Vizex. But I like that rod. It's got a big handle. I can tuck it like the same with glide. I can tuck it under my arm, just slow crawl it, and then you have all that power to set the hook and move all that line.
How often are you throwing a color other than white?
The clearer the water, the more I go away from white. The dirtier the water. Dirty water, so there's two whites. I have this straight white, then you have the white with the chartreuse head. If it's really, really dirty, I want that chartreuse pop. If it's like just got a stain to it, like 2, 3, 4 foot of visibility, then I just fish straight white. And if it's really clear, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 foot of visibility, then I'll go to like a panfish color or like a perch color or whatever. Yeah, the green pumpkin color is the best way to explain it. Yeah, I'll go to the green one's really good in clear water. But if it's got any kind of tint or dirty, like really dirty around where I live, I love that white one. Like 90% of the time I'm fishing the white one.
Yeah. I did see some comments about the video for the Smith Lake crash. Not a good deal. Not a good look.
Oh no, I had no idea. I never been to Lake my life. We went there.
The video is like, so there's a video of a guy fishing the tournament, and he's got a GoPro over his, like looking over his shoulder, right?
Oh! Talking about
just came out today, and
about something else.
There's nothing around. There's no fog.
Oh yeah, I seen that. Yeah,
this isn't, and it's like, yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not.
I'm not going to make a reaction video to it. I don't really feel like that I should be trying to profit off somebody else's death or demise, but like, yeah, it's not a good look. Yeah. So it's very unfortunate. Like bass fishermen, whether you're driving a Skeeter or a Phoenix or whatever, like there's a responsibility that we all need to take when we're driving fast out on these lakes. And for ourselves and the people around us. But that's the same way for anybody operating a boat, to be honest. But it's just a little less room for air when you're driving 60 or 70. So,
yeah.
I should mention that the Dobbins rods we talked about, the 25-pound fluorocarbon, some of the baits we talked about, you could all use my Omnia fishing code to save 15% off. If you want to try out any of the stuff that Noah's talked about, the mullets, lots of good things there. I carry a good selection of Northland and Dobbins and a lot of good stuff at Omnia. It might be a little teaser here. The selection might be getting even better next week or two at Omnia.
Yeah, I put a little teaser out today in the emails.
Mm-hmm. So I know that's been kind of a complaint lately about the inventory levels and selection. So there's kind of something happening. I'm not going to say much more than that, but it seems like a pretty positive thing. So
yeah, I love Omnia.
Yeah, I'm sure they get the baits to your house just as quick as mine. So
yeah, usually next day, usually not 2 days.
Not that you buy any tackle because you got everything you need, but
yeah, I wish I did.
All right. I don't know. I'll call kind of hour and 45 minutes here. I'll kind of throw out a last call for questions for anybody that didn't get their question. I feel like I looked in most of them. I guess Kyle asked, what are your thoughts on big companies like Strike King, Berkeley coming out with swim baits? Do you think that's like good, or do you think it's more in the niche stuff, or what are your thoughts?
I guess honestly, at the end of the day, like as a consumer,
More options, better.
more options I have, and if it's not a quality bait, then I'm not going to buy it. But if I try it and I like it, and it just gives me another affordable version to do what I want to do without, digging deeper into my pockets. But I mean, I know there's like a lot of copy and stuff like that going on. And I mean,
Did you try the Nessie?
yeah, I have a few Nessies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to
Didn't
talk
make your
bad
skirt
about
go
baits.
down. It was fine. It wasn't. Yeah.
You have some good ones. You have some home runs. But I mean, they work together on this one, So the Trick Shad worked together on that one. That was kind of a collaboration.
Nice about
It wasn't a
the
copy.
Nessie is you can really get aggressive with the Nessie and not worry about smoking a pontoon with it.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. It's the more selection as a consumer. So I'm a consumer. The more options I have, the better. Because then that just overall drives prices down, makes things more affordable for us. But there's some good ones, there's some duds, and you got to kind of weed through that. But like I said, you got the collaborations like the Spurl, the Chat Shad, and the Trick Shad with Buka. Like those are good ones. Those are home runs. They work together.
What's the East Coast? I forget what they're called. Strike King just came out with. I don't remember if it was a glide, but it's a swim bait.
I think I know what you're talking about. I cannot remember it though.
They've got a unique name.
I know what you're talking about.
Here. But yeah, I'm all for that. That's my preference, right? Versus, Berkeley coming out with a Nessie, which is, kind of a flag, right?
Yeah.
Or Strike King coming out with the final copy, which, uninspired. I tried it.
Well, I do like call Shad,
Yeah, which they did some unique things with the cull shad. A little bit, I mean, the hexacomb and their bait hook. I mean, whether it swims great or not, I think there was a couple cool things with that bait.
It's got different,
so I'm not saying
different action too.
So I mean, not always, and even the final copy's got a different. The Tater Hog, yeah, that's the one with the Strike King. So I'd much rather see Strike King, Tater Hog, Spro, KGB, Buka, GSM, Buka brand, right? Like that kind of stuff. To me, is how I'd rather see these bigger companies get into the big baits and specialty swim baits versus just trying to roll out something. Yeah. So.
Well, and then it has more value too. Like if like Buka and GSM went together, you're going to have right off the bat, you're going to have way more value and way more like me as a consumer, like, oh, okay,
Your
this is gonna be
confidence is
legit.
like already
Yeah,
like
this is gonna be good, you know? More affordable for me, but I'm still getting a good quality bait because they're not gonna put out something Buka's not gonna allow them to put it out if it's not good, you know? Like, so it's like, this is gonna be good. Sweet. All right, good deal. Where if it was just a copy and replica trying to piggyback off somebody else's great swim bait, like I might hesitate, probably not gonna buy it, you know. But so that's probably the right way to go about it because you're already building confidence in the consumer that it's gonna be a good bait and gonna be a good product. But it's it's copying is kind of the way of the industry, it seems like so. But
right on. Yeah. All right. What's your most favorite underrated Dobbins rod that you use more than you thought you would, or that's not like super popular to talk about?
I'm gonna honestly say from talking about glides and the Fury. It really is. Like
Okay,
it
so what's
is.
your favorite non-swim bait rod that's kind of niche that
Boy. Oh, trying to think. I don't know.
like do you got a square bill rod?
Okay, all right. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it's a Champion XP, and it was made for chatterbaits. What you
736 CB or 735 CB, one of the two.
135 CB probably. I got it on my deck right now, but I don't use it for chatterbaits. On straight braid, buzz bait rod.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it for a buzz bait rod.
can
It
see that.
is
That's
phenomenal.
what I was looking for, Noah. Something like that. There you go.
Phenomenal buzzbait rod.
What is your chatterbait rod?
734 Champion XP. Got a good nice
Yeah,
bend to it.
I use the Sierra, which is just a tiny touch softer than the, but similar.
Might try that one then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that 734 XP just because it's like, it's got a nice soft bend to it. It's not a broomstick, but good hookup, good land ratio. I'm always tending towards a little bit heavier rod.
Mhm.
That's just me. I like to like chatterbait. I run 17 or 20 pound tests, so I'm always kind of beefing up on
Yeah.
the heavier side
And
of
the nice
stuff.
thing about that rod, in a pinch, if you determine that it's not a chatterbait thing, you
Jig,
could
jig
put
rod.
a Texas rig or a jig on it, and
Yeah,
is it perfect? No, but it does a pretty good damn job.
I use the same rod for
Yeah.
same rod for my like. I love to throw like the Buckeye ball on 2 jig, so I'll throw that a lot. And it's the same rod I
Mhm.
use for that.
Yeah. So you could
I,
throw
I,
a half-ounce spinnerbait on it. You could like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's good all-purpose rod.
for sure. Right on. Well, I appreciate the time, Noah. I've covered some ground. Enjoyed the conversation. Time flies when we're talking fishing.
Yeah, it does.
So I think people, if they want to follow your wife's posts on social media, they can follow you at Noah Schultz Fishing.
No Schultz fishing. If you want to mess with me, go ahead. But there might be a small delay there. My wife handles most of that stuff. I'm kind of like I use it obviously, and I'll communicate with people, but it's not on
But
my.
you are the one creating the content.
I am, yes, but it's not on
But you're not
it's
doing
not
the
on my
posting.
cell phone. I don't have it
Shout out
on
to Jenny, right? Shout out to Jenny. She's the hero.
Jenna.
Jenna, sorry, Jenna. My bad. But
But yeah, it's not on my cell phone, so I don't have direct communication. I purposely do that just so it's not another distraction in my life. So,
there you
but
go.
yeah, if you want to message me, go ahead.
So
It might take a few
when
hours.
there's a story posted of one of your kids watching a HellaBass video on the TV, that's Jenna posting that, not Noah.
Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah.
And so you probably don't even see those.
I don't know. I mean, I create the content and then I type it up, and then she does all the fancy
Yeah.
stuff. I
But
don't
like if
know.
it's just an Instagram story,
Maybe her then. Yeah, it
you
depends.
probably didn't even know. You might not even know that it's happening.
Depends on what it is.
It was like a video of your kid staring at your TV with one of my fishing videos on it.
Yeah, it might be her then. Yeah.
And so if I asked you about it, I think I mentioned it, and you probably know that makes sense what your response like you probably had no clue what I was talking about. So got it. The real truth
Yeah.
behind
There we go.
but yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, appreciate it, Noah.
Yeah,
Hope
thanks for
everybody
having me.
enjoyed it. If you came in late, catch the replay, YouTube, Facebook, MP3, whatever. And as always, here to help you guys catch more big bass and suck less. Thanks, Noah.
Yeah, thank you.